What's going on, guys? Welcome to the video. So we got another clip from BBC Radio 4's Today programme. They are talking about how a no-deal Brexit will create food shortages. Of course, being the BBC, this discussion is all Ramona's, including Lord Haskins, who claims we will see wartime rationing. Yes, let's check it out.
What will happen to supplies of food if we leave the EU without a deal on October the 31st? The government says it's stepped up preparations in order to try to make sure that there won't be shortages on supermarket shelves. But BBC News has learnt that leading shops and suppliers are worried that they won't be able to coordinate properly with each other because discussing prices and supplies would mean breaking the law. All day, the BBC is going to be reporting on how no deal will affect different parts of the economy. Let's talk now to Tim Rycroft, Corporate Affairs Director for the Food and Drink Federation. Good morning.
Good morning.
The worst date, October the 31st?
It's pretty much the worst date because it's peak Christmas pre-season. Warehouses are full. We just completed a survey of our members and 40% of them are saying that warehousing costs are going up. 50% saying ingredients costs are going up. It's a busy time for the food sector because Halloween is a big event in the hospitality sector. And so, as Faisal says, with domestic crops coming to an end at that time of year, it is pretty much the worst time, yes.
Although what the government will say, and we've been hearing some of it from Faisal, that the UK has robust supply chains across a range of countries to provide our food, and half the food we eat is produced in the UK.
Well, no, the food sector is absolutely clear that a no-deal exit is a disastrous outcome for us. But we've never said that the country is going to starve. That's not the case. There will be selective shortages, and they will be, to some extent, random because it depends on which trucks get through and which don't. So we are saying that, I think Faisal described the government's own estimate as benign. I think that's a kind adjective to describe it. We think there will be some serious disruption and it will go on for weeks or months after our exit. It may be slightly mitigated by stockpiling in the first few weeks, but with fresh food that can't last very long.
And could it be mitigated by competitors, very unusually, working together to coordinate lorries, to coordinate supplies?
Well, what we've said to the government is in the event that this happens and you get these selective shortages, it may well be that the government is going to come to us and say, can't you guys work together to ensure that remote communities or the elderly or children, at-risk groups don't suffer from those shortages. Now, we're happy to help, but as Faisal has explained, the Competition and Markets Authority can fine companies up to 10% of turnover if they're guilty of anti-competitive behaviour. So we wouldn't be able to do that without some pretty cast-iron reassurances.
And have you been asking for those reassurances?
Yes, we started asking actually before Christmas last year. I think that probably the previous administration didn't want to go there, but I'm hoping now that we have Mr Gove coordinating No Deal and Mrs Leadsom as Business Secretary that this is something that could happen quite quickly.
And what would that be, some kind of letter of comfort to saying we're not going to fine you?
As we understand it, this is a power that the Secretary of State for Business has. It was used last, I think, during the financial crisis when there were talks between the banks. So I don't think it's a very difficult thing for government to do, though obviously it is a big signal of no-deal preparedness.
We'll stay with this. I want to bring in Lord Haskins, Chris Haskins, former chairman of Northern Foods. And what do you envisage will happen if we do leave the European Union without a deal?
It's very difficult to say. The government thinks that the food will flow normally as before. I have my doubts. I think there will be some panic buying that will create shortages. I'm very worried about the supermarkets getting a priority. We have to remember the schools are very important, the NHS is very important, restaurants and catering, small shops, all of them. They're very complex distribution systems, and I don't see how that can be left to the private sector to deal with, frankly. We could be in a sort of wartime situation of a limited amount of food rationing. Now, those of who can remember the war, that took a long time to put into place, and it was pretty haphazard and pretty unfair. Now, I don't think we'll get to that, but I'm very concerned about the groups who aren't in the supermarket chain, how they will deal with things. We'll have to prioritise. Who can prioritise except the government itself?
But Tim Rycroft, this idea of wartime and so on could be just characterised as warmongering, couldn't it? And a scaremongering, rather. And isn't it the case that the government has been preparing for some time for this eventuality, and they say they're stepping up those preparations now, turbocharging them?
Well, the only area where the government has taken particular powers is pharmaceuticals. They looked at food, they decided they weren't going to do that with food. Now, if you don't ask the industry to collaborate to smooth out some of these rough edges, the alternative is taking contingency powers and emergency powers, which Lord Haskins refers to, and it seems to me that that is a worst option.
So what might be causing these delays, Chris Haskins? Because we've been hearing from the Mayor of Boulogne-Calais to say that trucks will be allowed to go through smoothly.
Well, the food industry is a bit like the motor industry. Everything is just in time, so you don't have many minutes to miss before you've got a real problem. So any hold-up on either side is going to be a serious problem. What the government could do, of course, is waive all customs controls on imports coming in for the meanwhile. That would be a great opportunity for some of the more unscrupulous members of society to make a bit of money, but it would be a way of speeding it up, and I don't think the other countries would worry too much about that. It's what happens at Dover is what really matters.
And we've been focusing, Tim Rycroft, very much on the idea of fresh food, which is pressing. But we've also been hearing about Christmas. Sainsbury's chief executive Mike Coop said that toys and electrical goods could be affected by disruption, and this could affect Christmas.
Yes, well, I mean, fresh food is obviously the tip of the iceberg, but we expect that there will be shortages of a whole range of things, including things like specialist ingredients. Many of our foods, will have 5, 10, 15 ingredients. If you haven't got every one of those on the day that you want to make that food, then you can't make it. So this is why we say we think there will be kind of random selective shortages, not just of fresh food, which is kind of predictable, but also of other things that probably aren't.
Tim Rycroft, Lord Haskins, thank you both.
OK, so the whole interview is doom and gloom. This will be a disaster, that will be a disaster. It's constant. The first guy at least clarifies we won't starve, so thanks I guess. But still claims there will be weeks or months of disruption with food. I doubt it, mate, I'm sorry. They then discuss this nonsense about coordinating supplies between competitors. And there is a big issue with allowing big companies like Tesco's and Asda to work together in regards to controlling supply and setting prices. But I will go over that in more detail a bit later. We have to remember that these companies in Europe that we buy food from, and other goods, make billions from that trade. If you think in the event of a no-deal Brexit, them companies in the EU won't lobby their governments to change their stance and get a free trade deal going with the UK, you're delusional. The effects on their economy will be massive. This is all smoke and mirrors to try and get the PM to climb down and do something else, I guess, as these Ramonas always seem to forget that the Maybot deal is universally hated and will never get through Parliament. The EU won't renegotiate, so no deal is the only option left. Or except they want a referendum and to remain, but that's not possible. We live in a democracy. The EU is as much responsible for no deal as the UK is. Theresa May tried to sell us out, and the EU now won't budge from that deal because it gives them everything they want, at the expense of the UK, of course. We then hear from Lord Haskins, who thinks panic buying will cause shortages because of panic buying, I guess? I'm sorry, dickhead, but no. Masses of people are not going to go out panic buying. It's not a fucking zombie apocalypse, it's us leaving a customs union and going over to WTO terms. You know, the trade rules the whole world trades on. The EU itself uses WTO terms to trade with the USA and the other 160 odd countries on the planet, you fucking idiot. This is why I am confident there won't be any shortages. We already use WTO terms now. Of course, the complete shitweasel Lord Haskins goes full demented seal on us with probably the most outrageous Project Fear attempt I have ever heard, claiming it will be like wartime Britain with food rations. What the actual hell is this worthless old fuckpig talking about? I would really love to know how we came to that conclusion there. I guess Brexit is on par with World War II now, maybe? Did I miss something? Are we suffering a second blitz? Are the fucking U-boats lurking in the waters around the UK? No, it's fucking not. What a ridiculous thing to say on national radio, even for a Project Fear merchant like this twat. The host tiptoes around the complete bullshit he came out with, saying it could be seen as scaremongering. I would say it's a fucking slam dunk with regards to it being scaremongering, you idiot. The BBC bin should have raked him over the coals for putting out such a blatantly false statement. Even insinuating we could see wartime rationing like in the Second World War is ridiculous. He is really focused on the food industry collaborating with each other though. so they can set prices and decide where stock goes with each other. Let's think about that for a second. The major companies who sell food to us want to collaborate on the prices they charge with no government oversight. I wonder what interest you have in the food industry that would make you push so hard for companies like Asda and Tesco's working together to control stock levels and prices, destroying all competition and protections the UK consumer has against price gouging like we're seeing in previous years by computer RAM manufacturers Samsung and Micron. No fucking thank you. The government knows food will not run out, so they don't need to do this stupid shit. Companies order food now from outside the EU with no issues. No deal Brexit won't change that, since we already use WTO terms. The whole segment was a Project Fear piece at the end of the day, with scaremongering throughout. No opposing voices anywhere to be heard. Just anti-Brexit, anti-no deal wankers who think Brexit could be similar to World War II food rationing. You can always count on the BBC to put out a biased piece of shit like this though. What a complete joke they really are. Now I'm going to end the video there, guys. Let me know what you think down in the comments section below. Remember to like, subscribe and share this video as it helps the channel a lot, and I will see you all in the next one.